So as you see, all of our budgets are in the positive, except for when we get to Fund 8. And remember that Fund 8 is our restricted funds. So those are basically our
Madam
grants.
Chair, can we fix this? This is,
Okay. Okay, so the paperwork is not showing, are we still waiting?
are we good?
Can I ask a question, Lena?
Yes.
Why did the state take some of the money already?
Because of our ADM, because of the students that we lost. So like I said, last time, we were in danger of losing more positions.
Yeah.
So we did lose 9 more positions, even back then for 13, I told you about the first time.
Yeah.
And, it's because, like they said, the kindergartners didn't show up. And then, we lost some other students. And the reason why we didn't have to go around and do anything, again, because we still have so many vacancies that we're watching as we hire. So as long as we don't go over. So I can tell you that our fund, that our state funds 001, we have 390 teachers, I believe it is, and all of those positions are filled. So as they're coming in, we are watching. As they leave, we can replace them. But we can't put anybody else in 01, so we're gonna have to be using our 24 funds and our 69 funds as we hire new teachers. So, for Hope County, as far as the students goes, that's not a good thing. But for the finance officer, that is, because I can watch the money better. But I would much rather have the teachers. So, like I said, our state funds looks good. We're not over on anything right now. We should be at about 50%, as you see on the screen. All of our funds at that time is either at 50 or somewhere in that area. Our Fund 2, and that's the funds that takes care of our county appropriations. That is looking good also. We're having larger than normal bills as far as electricity and utilities because of the fact that they have gone up. Everything has gone up, and so we have to watch those more carefully. Our aid funds that houses our grants and our other funds like indirect costs, we're using that wisely, and as you see during the year, I have to move money around to make sure those funds that are in 8 stay in the positive. So you can look at that, and if you have any questions, I'm always available.
Do you know how many teachers are coming out of local funds?
Right now, I only have like 4 teachers, but we have a, very large exceptions list. So we're checking that to make sure we don't have to move any more in there. So we're watching that very carefully.
Is the audit thing?
No, ma'am. And yes, we just got an email today that says we're out of compliance. And I have been sending information to the audit firm since September. There's no reason why they should not be finished. So I just got in touch with the lawyer to ask her if she's gonna give them a call, find out what's going on, because they haven't even come to Hope County Schools as of yet. And I'm still pulling stuff for them, they're still asking for stuff.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Who? The auditor? The auditors? I'm sure they are. But see, they have to write a letter of extension to send to DPI. So we're gonna have to get that taken care of, because if they don't get finished soon, we're gonna get in a lot of trouble.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. At this time, we're gonna do the school treasurer's salary. Okay. So,
As you may or may not know, fiscal year 25, that's the upcoming year, all salaries have to be redone. So they have already changed the salaries at DPI, but they have not made the LEAs do any changes because they have not given us the extra money to do it. So we're hoping that in fiscal year 25, that's gonna change. But in the process of that, we have to start looking at our non-certified staff, because they're the ones who are getting the least raises as we go up. So our prior interim superintendent asked to have our non-classified staff, particularly the school treasurers and custodians, looked at. The school operations specialists, that's the company that's mentoring me, they also do salary studies. So they took the custodians and the bookkeeper treasurers, they looked at it. So they took the 2025 scales and they changed it appropriately. That's in front of you. So what I'm asking today is that we have already done the school bookkeepers' salaries. And if you look at it and, because you have to vote on it before I can actually change their salaries. So we're trying to do as many as we can this year that's not gonna take us over. Our budget's over. So, like I said, before we put the schedule into play, the board members will have to vote on to approve the new salary scale. So with all the changes with the school bookkeepers, it's gonna cost the Hope County Schools $26,298, and that's including their benefits, which, in retrospective things, that's not a lot of money to get them a better salary. So I didn't want to put the salaries on the scale, so I gave them to you, the old ones based on the new ones.
Would they be looking at other departments?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have an idea when or?
Well, we're doing it based on how, and the reason why we did the bookkeepers first is because they basically was making the same as receptionists, and they do much more than a receptionist. So the next group that we want to look at is the custodians, because a custodian that just started should not be making the same thing as someone who's been here 20 years.
Is there a timeline out when they would be looking at other departments?
We're looking at them all together, but we probably won't change it until the next school year, because we have to see what's gonna happen with the money, because, you don't wanna top heavy your salaries and then you can't pay them. Because whatever we change it to, we have to be able to maintain them. Any other questions?
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. You're welcome. Next on the information items is the school board policy information.
I can present these. These are two regulations that accompany, policy 1310 and 4002, which is our parental involvement policy. and policy 3210, which is your parental objection and inspection of instructional materials. Both of these are regulations that help implement the Parents' Bill of Rights, which was passed over the summer. You guys have just approved final approval of the two policies that they go with. Just spells out the procedure, timelines for submitting a request for information or objecting to materials. So there are administrative regulations for y'all's information.
Anybody have any questions?
I just have a question. Okay. So these policies, where the principals have a clear understanding of how they should be responding, are parents aware of the protocol?
So you'll have a community resources page, which will be set up for parents, to access and view. And we can discuss a possible training for your school administrators on what to do if they receive, some kind of objection or request for information on these things. We have done that for other districts. We've done trainings for how to implement this in practice.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we can go to action items. The first one is the camera installation and switches bid at Hope County High School.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So on November and December of last year, we presented about the proposed camera project. Just a quick recap, we received two bids, one from Intellicom and one from Encore. Encore was the lowest bid by the amount of over $70,000. Encore was not only the lowest bid, they were able to provide a mostly turnkey project or installation for us. More than what would have been included with Intellicom. That bid did not include cabling for the Intellicom bid. $650,000 was allocated for that project, of which $130,000 has already been expended. And that would leave approximately $457,000 for the Encore project, which would come in well under bid. So it's my recommendation that we move forward with the camera install using the Encore tech group. We did solicit feedback from other districts who have used Encore. They all have very favorable comments with regard to Encore and their dealings with that, including Anson County, Elizabeth City Schools, Hertford Schools, Hyde County, Robinson County Schools, Iredell Statesville, and we attached that in that last month. You should have a copy of that. Any questions?
We said that 137.
130,000.
What's that for?
That was for the actual cameras themselves. That was not part of this install. So this is primarily install and all of the cabling and things that would go with that, but the actual cameras we purchased separately, and we purchased those directly from the company.
So the wiring and everything is gonna be included?
In this, yes, ma'am.
I would like, would anyone make a motion to remove this?
Ms. Bloom, I move to approve the Encore, tech group.
Okay.
Technology.
A second.
Okay, it's been approved in second that we use the Encore tech group. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Next, we have gift cards.
So as you know, at Christmas, in lieu of turkeys or hams, we purchased 1,300 gift cards for our staff. That's the amount that we normally fine, but, in haste, that's not, we normally give to subs to different people that they gave out, so now I have, gift cards remaining that I cannot send back. But we would like to give them to substitutes and tutors, and especially tutors, because tutors have not been included in any type of, benefit that we have gotten since COVID, since, ESSER funds, they've not been included. So we have already, taken the guesswork and counted if the subs and the tutors have worked more than 15 days in the first semester, we would like to offer them a gift card. What will happen is that we'll make a list of the names that we have, and I'm asking the bookkeepers at each school to send me their subs that have been working in the tutors. And they'll have to come to the board and pick it up, because they actually have to sign for it. Anytime you give a gift card out, you have to have it signed, for it. And, while I'm on that, our employees really like this better, because there's people who do not eat meat. So some people will eat turkey, some people will eat ham, some don't. So they really like that, because if they were vegetarian, they could buy something that they could eat. So, but I'm asking you to, I can't do this without your approval. So I'm asking that if you will vote and allow me to give the remaining, gift cards to subs and tutors.
Madam Chair, Ms. Richards, what was the amount for the gift card again?
$25.
Get someone to make a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the gift cards for the substitutes and the tutors for $25.
Second.
There's been a motion made to give the remaining gift cards to the substitute teachers and tutors, that have worked more than 15 days in the first semester. It's been, the motion has been made and second, all in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Next on the agenda is the request for reimbursement approval of capital expenditures.
Let's see, going back, good evening, first of all, how's everybody doing? Let's see, going back to, I think it was probably around October, we presented some information to the board as it related to the capital projects expenditures. Part of that was the locker room floors at East Middle and West Middle, and we did receive quotes on those. And so just to refresh your memory there, I think that the highest amount of the largest bid that came in was roughly $115,000 for one locker room floor. And then, so by the time you combine those two together at two schools, it's roughly $230,000. We do recognize that there is some other areas of attention in those locker rooms that we would also like to address as well. And we are currently working on getting some quotes together on those. As far as that is concerned, that is roughly, what we're talking about there are the locker room, or the lockers that go into the locker rooms. And those are roughly about $51,000 that's just for the materials, the lockers themselves. That doesn't include the installation. It doesn't include shipping and freight to our location. So we've reached back out to the company to request that information from them about how much that would cost for the installation services, as well as the freight or the shipping over to our location. But ideally, right now, what we're working with is the $230,000 to address the floor situation, because there are damaged tiles at both locations, at East and West Middle School. So from a safety aspect and also an aesthetics aspect, that they do need to be updated. And then, I'm sorry, I can't see the screen there. And then also, if you remember, we had the issue with Hawkeye Elementary School with the chimney above the school, and it had a hairline fracture on both sides of the chimney, which did constitute as a safety issue. And whenever it was identified at that time last year, we were informed that if we had the strong hurricane force winds, probably something to similar to what we just experienced, around 40 to 60 miles per hour, there was that possibility with the winds blowing that chimney over and falling into the school, it could do a lot of damage to the school, and also, God forbid, anyone would have been there, damage to a person, staff member, student, et cetera. And that was roughly right at $18,000, that was not identified in the capital projects, but we went ahead and did go ahead, because it was a safety concern, we did go ahead and address that need at that school. So that's, again, roughly $18,000. So that's what we're looking at requesting as a reimbursement whenever we did those, items, back in October. Yes, ma'am.
With the chimney, I've been hearing this maybe 2 or 3 times. Did we not request that money already?
What has taken place is that, we have sent that information over to the county commissioners. We've requested to come back and be placed back on their agenda to resubmit and discuss with them, what we were requesting to reallocate the funds for. And then, once we receive their approval, then hopefully we're looking at being reimbursed for that activity, for Hawkeye Elementary School specifically. But at this time, we have not been able to get onto the agenda with the county commissioners, but we are still trying so that we can voice our concerns and needs on that.
So we had not asked for the chimney money.
Walena's shaking her head, yes.
All right, that's all.
Walena could probably fill you in on that conversation.
We did ask when we went to them, but they said that we'd have to have approval from you all. Then we went to you all and you approved it, but then they said that, quote unquote, they were not getting the weeds with us. They were not going to get into the weeds with us. So I guess they thought that we were going back and forth, but I think what it was that they wanted us to bring it to you first. But the concern was the chimney and the danger that it permitted. So that's what we thought you guys voted yes. When we took it back from them, they can't, now they won't let us back on the agenda.
And then the third topic is the maintenance canopy. And you've heard this information before as well, right there at the main entrance to the maintenance office. It does have water damage, and the pillars that are holding up in between 2 sections, that load-bearing board is starting to collapse and sink in. So basically, it kind of looks like the pillars are there, but then the middle of it is sagging because of water damage over the years. And that's approximately right at $20,000, if I'm not mistaken, that would be needed to be reallocated from the capital projects to go towards that to be addressed. And that is a safety concern because, again, it covers the main door, which is basically the only entrance there into the office area. The only other entrance is through a rolled garage door, basically on the back of the building. So if that was to fall in, it would damage the building and or any items that are parked or placed underneath that canopy, and or any vehicles that may be parked in or around that canopy. And of course, with it being attached to the building, if there's anyone inside and it causes building damage, they could also be in harm's way. Yes, ma'am.
Do we not have another location where these people can go? Because that is, we know that it's a danger. So why do we still have these people in this building? We don't have another replacement building where they can work out of it so we can get this issue resolved? Because we're gonna have a lot of lawsuits if people get hurt.
Yes, ma'am, we would. I agree with you. We, in our district, space is limited. Office space is it's kind of like the housing market. It's in high demand, and we have little to provide hours or provide to people. Over in the maintenance department, I'm sure each of you are familiar with that area where it's located at. We, of course, we have the old AV building there. We have the brown metal building that's there also. We have an older stick-built building that's in the very back. But all of it is used for storage. There's no office space over there. And all of our office spaces at central office or even in schools, administrators would tell you that space is just hard to come by.
I understand, I'm just concerned.
Yes, ma'am, because it was the same way with, we did try to identify an area for a specific member from that department to be housed out of, but just with our limited space, we didn't have anywhere that we could place that individual. So when we're looking at a team of approximately 14 to 16 employees, now granted, they're not there all day. They come in the morning, they have their meeting, and they're usually out at schools for the rest of the time during the day. So from about 7 to 7:30, they have, every morning they have a meeting, so that we need a space large enough to accommodate that. And then at the end of the day, they kind of come back together and check back in with Mr. Manners, the director, and give him an update of what they've been able to do to that day or potential issues or follow-ups for the upcoming day.
So there's any buildings around town that Richard or someone is aware that we can utilize, that is available? I'm just asking.
Well, the one that has been a topic of discussion is, of course, right beside Turlington with the old 4-H building. But then if we took that on, that would be in need of repairs. And there's a quite extensive amount of repairs that need to be done there because it has a roof that leaks. So over a time frame, just what's to look from that. But other than that, I'm pretty sure that we could communicate with the county commissioners and ask if they have somewhere that we could utilize or use until it gets, yes ma'am, until it gets fixed. But that's a great idea.
So, I just want to ask this question. The Hawkeye Elementary School chimney repair hasn't been done?
It
Or
has
it
been
has
done.
been done, you're just asking for?
The reimbursement for that. So if we could take the funds that was allocated towards a certain project, do away with that project because it was more for visual purposes and use it towards that safety need.
Right.
Well, there was a lot of money at the beginning of the year that was allocated towards projects at Turlington. Since the summer, we kind of put a hold on several of those projects. The only thing that we did over there was the canopy replacement, as well as the parking lot resurfacing or recoating of the parking lot and putting the parking lot lines, parking spaces there, as well as putting bumpers over at Turlington. And we did have some projects that would have been for a beautification on the front with repair or taking up some of the bricks or that brick walkway and replacing it with a concrete walkway, doing a concrete walkway from the front entrance doors to the flagpole, as well as some concrete around the marquee that's out front. So trying to make it more visually appealing. So we figured we could take some of that money and reallocate it towards the safety project, but then we would still have money left over to address the needs at the entrance of the school, such as the little A-frame roof right there that's over the front door, as well as the pillars and the steps right there on the front, so that we can replace or fix some of those cracks as well as the water damage on the roof.
Any more questions?
Madam Chair, I have a question for our board lawyer. Do we need to include the county commissioners on this motion or just as is?
So the way that this came to where it is, and the document is not uploaded, which it can be circulated to you guys, is Dr. Shotwell in December had drafted a letter to request reimbursement and approval of reallocation of these funds for these specific projects that Dr. Hunt has just reviewed. The decision was to wait until Dr. Spells was here and allow you guys an opportunity to know what the request was for, approve the request so that Dr. Spells can then send the formal letter to the county commissioners requesting that the reallocation be approved and the reimbursement be issued. So that's why it is here before you today. we wanted to allow Dr. Spalls the opportunity to hit the ground running, and get this before you, and to make sure that we're completely transparent between the board and administration about what we're asking when we're asking it. So that is why this is on the agenda.
Okay, so again, besides the title to this request, do I need to include the county commissioners in my motion?
Yes, you can include the county commissioners, if, I don't know if you can see that.
Well, I'm talking about the request for reimbursement title.
Yes, do you see the information piece?
Yeah, I'm talking.
It's, if you, you can make the motion based off of the information that is there.
All of it?
Yes. Deep breath, Ruben, deep breath.
Leave me alone.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the superintendent, this doesn't even make any sense.
Request.
I move superintendent requests that the board approve the attached request to the whole county board of county commissioners for reimbursement and approval of the following capital expenditures: West Hole Middle School locker room improvements, Hawkeye Elementary School chimney repair and replacement of the main canopy.
Second.
I have a question. So it's just gonna be West Hope now? Because he said.
Originally, it was East and West Middle School that was on there. And the money that was allocated was only $100,000. And like I said, we did reach out to, I think it was 3 different companies, and the highest bid came in at 115. So so that would mean roughly $30,000 that we would have to reallocate. The discussion has been with both schools, because that was what was originally allocated in the beginning when the county commissioners approved our capital project requests.
It's my understanding that we were asked to focus on West Hope and not East Hope at this time, which is why that motion reads for just West Hope.
And then that being said, then that would, those funds that were, so we're talking about $230,000, and as you heard me mention earlier, we're around $51,000 for the lockers that go into the locker room, then that could also accommodate that with the freight and the installation fees.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. So, for the superintendent request that the board approve the attached request to the whole county board of county commissioners for reimbursement and approval of the following capital expenditures: West Hope Middle School locker room improvements, Hawkeye Elementary School chimney repair and the replacement of the maintenance canopy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I oppose.
Ayes have it.
Thank you.
At this time, I need someone to make a motion to go into closed session.
Madam Chair, I move to go into closed session for the following reasons: to consider confidential personnel information protected under North Carolina General Statutes 143-11A1A3, to consider the initial matters related to initial employment of individual employees pursuant to North Carolina General Statutes 143-318-11A6, and to consult with our board education attorney and preserve the attorney-client privilege as provided in the North Carolina statutes 143-311-18A3.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Closed session.